Hey everyone, welcome to Team Crank It Up. We're here with our latest customer, Shane. Met him out here at the Bantam Jeep Festival 2017. We're going to install a Crank It Up unit for Shane. Shane, by the way, thanks for your business, buddy.
Thank you.
So stay tuned, here we go. So the install is a very simple process. It only takes about 30 minutes, may take 45 depending on your approach here. But I want to walk you through what the install is going to look like so you have a sense of what's going on. Your stock speaker bar has 3 M6 bolts on each side of the speaker bar. The first step is you're going to remove all 6 of these bolts, which will then release your speaker bar down. After that, on the other side of your speaker bar here, you're going to disconnect your quick connect harness for your wiring harness that goes to your speaker bar. Once you've dropped your speaker bar down, you're going to unzip your speaker bar or your roll bar cover. The reason you're going to do that is that there's styrofoam inside this roll bar that really makes it look beefier, but it really doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose other than that. You're going to end up trimming back about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of styrofoam on each side of your speaker bar. The reason for that is when you install the Crank It Up unit, and you need to have clearance then for your speaker bar to rotate down 90 degrees. Once that is trimmed back, you're going to put the cover back over your roll bar. On the other side where your wiring harness is, at the same time, you're going to reroute your wiring harness to the interior side of your roll bar. It comes stock on the exterior side of your roll bar. We're going to take it to the interior side of the roll bar so it can clear the channels for the Crank It Up unit. Once the covers on your roll bar are put back in place, we're going to mount the speaker bar to the Crank It Up U channels. Once those U channels are installed to the speaker bar, then we're going to mount the upper U channel to the roll bar. In doing so, your Crank It Up unit will be installed. The last step in the process is to simply take the wire harness, plug your quick connect back into the speaker bar, and then you'll be fully functional with this unit. So we're going to take you through the install, and again, we look forward to you cranking it up. So as you can see, Kevin is removing the M6 bolts from each side of the speaker bar. Again, there's 3 on each side, simple to do. Now one thing you'll want to do is that as you're removing the speaker bar, as you get all the M6 bolts released, you're going to need a set of hands to help you hold that speaker bar in place until you can disconnect the quick disconnect for your wiring harness that goes to your speaker bar. So again, there's an M6 bolt here, here, and one in the center here. What we do is remove the outside and the inside one, and we leave the 2 outside M6s in place until I get up into the Jeep so I can hold the speaker bar in place. Then Kevin will remove the other 2. Now as we drop the speaker bar, you'll notice that reveals the disconnect for the wiring harness. So Kevin's going to hit the quick disconnect. And these things can be a little stubborn. So if that's the case, you can turn the speaker bar sideways. And voila, pops right out. Real simple. So now you've removed your speaker bar. The next step in the process will be to pull the covers for your roll bar back so you're able to access the styrofoam that you'll need to trim back. Now in your install kit, you're going to have a template that you can lay across your styrofoam to know how much to trim it back. Kevin and I have done this install many times, so we're not going to be using the template for this. We're simply going to go through and begin removing these. So you can see, very simply, I've unzipped the cover, and now it has exposed the styrofoam. We're going to do the same on this side. So now the styrofoam is exposed here, and the styrofoam is exposed here, allowing us to access this and trim this back. Kevin's doing the same thing on his side. The other thing I'd like to point out is this also allows you now to expose your speaker wire harness. Now one thing we're going to do is we're going to reroute this speaker wire harness to the inside of the roll bar as opposed to the outside. And in doing so, we're going to be removing these little clips that hold this in place. You can simply pull these out of the channel or pop them directly out. Got yours rolled back here. Now, by simply taking a knife, what we're using is a razor blade knife here, we're going to mount the KrankItUp upper U channel to here so we have an idea of where we want to trim this back. So Kevin's just easily tightening this up so we can go through then and trim this back. So again, I'll take a razor knife, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. And the reason for this is this allows you to drop your speaker bar and have enough room for it to clear the channel open. Once you cut that through, and I usually try to run through it a couple times, you can see where it's released. I'm going to simply pull this down, and it will release this portion of the styrofoam. Voila. You can save this if you'd like, or you can discard it. On this side, we're going to do a similar. We're going to cut across here, making sure that you keep all of your cables out of the way. You're going to trim back here, and then across directionally like this. And again, this will allow for your stock roll bar cover to mount back in place. So I'm going to trim this out a little bit. You can see it's pretty simple little trim. And that's it. You've trimmed it back on both sides. We're going to get the other side as well. What we're going to do is we're going to open this up so we can access your speaker cable. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure we've got a little bit of additional slack, so when we reroute to the back side of the bar here, right, we've got plenty of room to reroute this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to pop those quick releases out again. So there's one that just came out, and then I'm going to go down to the second one. So as you can see, they can be difficult to pop out. So what you can also do is take your snips, being careful not to snip your wires, and simply snip the plastic retainer that holds it in. So now you've increased the amount of room that you have on your cable. And I'm going to go ahead and snip this one off too, because quite honestly, they're no longer needed. Doesn't affect the performance in any way. And it's covered through the back side here. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually able now to push this speaker cable back underneath where the styrofoam pad is, and now I've effectively allowed myself to reroute on the back side of the roll bar. So now that we've trimmed everything back and we've rerouted the speaker wire harness, we're simply going to zip the covers back up. So we're going to put everything back into the original position that it was when we removed the roll bar covers. Okay, the next step in the installation is now you're going to install your U channels, the hinging system, what we like to call the angular audio accessory. So you want to set your speaker up on its side because you're going to want to mount the speaker bar to the lower or smaller U channel. Now you can tell this, hold on Kev, you can tell this by the fact that when you open and close this, the channel that fits inside the outer channel is the channel that's going to mount to your speaker bar. You're going to want it laid. The lights are going to be up. The upper channel is going to lay down. So it's almost as though it's sitting on the bed of the truck here, as you can see. And we're going to mount these to the existing holes for your speaker bar, where that originally mounted to your roll bar. Now our customer Shane purchased some of these handle grips today. So we're going to install these as well. Keep in mind that KrankItUp will support and accommodate any aftermarket handle grip, from these all the way up to the higher end ones made of metal that have the M6 bolts in them. So I'm going to hold this up. I'm going to hold this in place for Kevin while Kevin installs the handle grips into the speaker bar. So we've installed the lower handle onto the U channel, the lower U channel. Now we're going to install the upper. On this one, through the bolt, you're going to place your lanyard holder. That's going to install then through your washer, and now your washer is going to install through your handle and into the upper portion of the lower U channel. So now that we've installed the speaker bar to the U channels, now we're going to install the upper U channels to the roll bar. I'm going to hold this in place while Kevin installs this. So you flip your speaker bar to the orientation and when it's down, and you simply screw the M6 bolts into the pre-existing holes that were there for the speaker bar to be mounted directly to the roll bar. We're going to do this on both sides. It's important to make sure that someone's available to hold the speaker bar in place while these are being screwed in. You don't want to bend these U channels or pop the bolts. Then you're going to repeat the same process on the other side. So now after you've mounted the upper U channel to the roll bar, you're not going to tighten this down all the way. You want to leave a little looseness in it, and you want to be able to close your speaker bar such that you can put your pin through the receiver. Now, since you have styrofoam back here, you want to take a small screwdriver, as Kevin's going to demonstrate, and he's going to push all the way through, so we've got a hole through that styrofoam that allows your quick release pin to go all the way through the U channel to the other side. That engages the ball bearing on the end, which allows the quick release pin to stay in place. You want to do that on both sides. Once you've been able to do that and you're locking your U channels in place, locking your speaker bar in place, then we're going to come back and we're going to tighten everything down. That's the squaring mechanism. That allows us to square this up with the roll bar. So Kevin's going to do the same thing on the other side. So now that we've punched through the styrofoam on both sides, we've squared the unit up, now Kevin's just going back and tightening all of the hex nuts. The last step in the process is to now take your speaker wire harness and plug the quick release back in. Kevin will demonstrate. And there you got it. Now, when you're ready, you simply place your speaker bar back up, put your quick release pins in on both sides. You'll notice that the wiring harness, since it's routed, after 2 or 3 times of bringing your unit up and down, it'll stay in that position. It'll stay in that place. It'll orient for the inside of the speaker bar, which is what you want to have happen. And there you have it. There's an install of KrankItUp. Thanks again, and remember, crank it up. So there you have it. Install complete. This is the final product. Remember, you want to crank it up, you got to crank it down. Shane, what do you think? Come on over here, buddy. Shane's the proud new owner of the Crank It Up unit. Tell us about it, man.
Great. Looks sounds good. Okay.
Awesome, man. Thanks again. We appreciate it. What do you say?